and welcome to Labour Lens. I am Sharon Ijason. On this week's episode of the program, we'll be discussing about workers in the construction sector and how they can create wealth for the country. We'll be right back. Recently, there was an alarming report by the National Bureau of Statistics (NBS) about high unemployment rate in Nigeria. In the report, the NBS pegged the unemployment rate in the country at 23.1% and underemployment at 16.6%. The trend calls for novel and creative ways to tackle the scourge of unemployment in the country. This is one of the reasons why the Nigeria Employers Consultative Association (NECA) held the 2020 job fair in Lagos. During the job fair, I met with Andrew Ekata, a middle-aged man who studied computer science and graduated with a first class from a Nigerian higher institution.
My rating on the job market would be like a 1 star. I worked with the financial institution for about over 7 years, and I was never considered, I was never invited for any interview for conversion or through my stay in the bank. But I have my track record for performance. I was one of the best.
You need to get the opportunity to work every time you're on holidays. And each time you finish working in your long holiday like summer, add it to your CV. Government alone cannot tackle unemployment. The government needs to create make the environment enabled for businesses to thrive. When the environment is enabled, you don't pay double taxation, you are not harassed by security, you have power, all of those things. There are many more businesses will come up. Small scale, medium scale, large scale, and some people will get employment. And a lot of people, entrepreneurs, would be able to start their own businesses.
The whole essence of this fair is to have the general mix and then see how we can help them. I mean, the job seekers to be ready and available to take on opportunities.
My expectation from employers is, first and foremost, to pull these talents. We know they may not have the skill sets, all of them, but with training, with exposure, they will be able to acquire the necessary skill sets. Then for the government, it is their responsibility, their duty, their role to provide jobs for our graduates.
We've identified that one of the things that actually affects, or that causes this employment gap is the fact that a lot of these people don't have the basic soft skills to do the job or to get the job done right. And so training them or ensuring that they go through some form of training, and that's what we offer at Jobberman, right? We're able to train. We train young people, give them the basic skills that they need to get the job done.
At the opening ceremony of the job fair, the Director General of NECA spoke on the need for training and retraining for job seekers to fit into the labor market, with the unemployment rate projected to reach 3.5% by 2020.
Our activities has actually gone beyond just the labor and industrial relations, because what is more critical to Nigeria and organized businesses goes beyond the issue of bread and butter, labor and industrial relations. It also encompasses those issues that will make businesses competitive and sustainable at the long run.
The government is really trying their best, but they need to keep doing more and more. Like this, I don't stay in this area. In my place in Jakonde Estate, there are some bad roads, Agor, roundabout, all those places. So one thing about them is they have to keep doing their work. So showing the good things for government, building enough road, making the roads okay for people.
Nigeria today is it's just everybody just being managed. It's not what we think of. This 21st century, but nothing is moving. Power sector is the same thing since 99 up to 8. The same problem upon problem in power sector. There is no move. Then look at it now. This rainy dry season. Lagos is a mega city. But look at like this woman coming now carrying water on the road because there is no water, nothing. Grassroots everywhere. People are suffering on grassroots. But the government at the top out there, they don't know what is going on. They will go outside other country, foreign country, painting that Nigeria is moving well. But we are here, we are suffering. This like I said earlier, 21st century. Nothing is moving. Technology is advancing, but Nigeria is moving backward. So nothing is moving really.
It is good that since President Buhari came into office, the issue of infrastructure has been on the front burner. But we can't leave it there. We need to move from intention to real action. The fact is that Nigeria is reeling under severe infrastructure deficit. And this is because for many years there has been lack of sincerity. Imagine where we have grand hopes and programs to revamp the economy, but you need infrastructure to drive it. Talk about transport, talk about electricity, which is critical. Talk on all the indices, we lag seriously behind, and it's alarming. So really, we need to move away from the vicious cycle of awarding contracts every single year for the same project that will not be executed. We need to get qualified hands to do the projects, and then we need to ensure that the procurement processes are thorough and transparent, so that citizens can be part of the process. They can track, they can monitor, they can evaluate progress being made, and be able to make informed choices.
On the profile interview segment this week, I will be speaking with the national president of the Construction Workers Union, who also doubles up as the deputy president of the Nigerian Labour Congress. Comrade Amechi Asugone spoke on the issue of casualisation, outsourcing, insourcing and outsourcing of workers in the construction sector, and what the federal government can do to ensure that there are policies that will create more jobs for workers in the construction sector. It's good to have you on the program.
Welcome, Sharon.
A lot has happened since our last conversation. Can you tell us what workers in your sector should be expecting from you in the year 2020?
Yes, I think from the construction sector, one would say we are back to sites, and the expectation of members of our industry is similar to the expectations of Nigerians, because fortunately the beauty of this sector is the governance to the whole country. When you talk about infrastructure, we are talking about activities that will gain employment. You talk about infrastructure, you talk about the beauty of the nation, you talk about the scope, how Nigeria should look like. And I want to believe members are hopeful, believing that government, especially in the beginning of a new year, eventually would want to actually unfold some positive programs that will increasingly encourage employment, and that in return will also add to the economic growth of Nigeria. Our members are hopeful that we will not tolerate victimization as usual in the sector. We have been fighting that cause. That is the only way they can gain boldness and strength in delivering of services. So we are giving that assurance, and by the grace of God, this leadership has actually put trust in God and ensuring that members' interests come first.
So is there any particular policy that you're actually looking out for in ensuring that your sector, which is the construction sector, is actually more viable?
Yes, the policies we expect or actions we expect from government, both at the state and federal, is to actually declare state of emergency on infrastructure. You know, most of these things has their body languages, whereby you have told the people and you have made it to your cabinet that infrastructure is the key not just to development, but to job creation. Not just for job creation, but to sustain the economic growth of our country. Socioeconomic growth will be zero if the people are not involved. So rather than encouraging people to be self-independent in a country where people should govern and provide leadership and ensure that basic amenities are available, making cost of living lower and easy for people, no, I think the policy of emergency on infrastructure is eminent because we believe it will be a watchword for those in power. You review it almost every month. We want to see Mr. President visiting sites that suggest how Nigeria want to look like. Don't forget, before now, there was a program of 2020. And here we are in 2020. It seems that dream died on arrival. So that also gives us challenge. Now they changed the 2020 to 2030. Most of these things, they are time. They will definitely come. And the unfortunate is they will come when the government that made the promise is not there. The 2020 dream didn't come under President Buhari. But as government is a continuum, they couldn't achieve it. So now this government has also placed certain viability on 2030. In fact, we have land of 2050. But Nigeria should have a workable document, a framework that tells ordinary Nigeria in his house that come 5 years, we are moving this country to this level.
So are you saying that policy somersault is one challenge that we are faced with in Nigeria?
Yes. We are not keeping to our policy. We don't respect our laws. And even the enforcers of laws are handicapped because they get discouraged by disobedience of law by government. So some of these things where you see too much flexibility in law, it gives room for corruption, and you think it also gives room for growth, but eventually the worst is bigger. So policy instability is our problem. That is why you see each time they want to make new laws, you see lawyers running out to tell you that they have enough laws in Nigeria. Why are you making a new law? But the question is, those laws are dead as nothing because nobody respects them, nobody practices them. When you do some of these things outside Nigeria, you are jailed. You do it in Africa and in Nigeria, somebody will tell you there will be a way out in every matter. And this same thing keeps happening. It affects our growth. It affects the infrastructural programs. It affects the expectation of people. Because when we say drive Nigeria through infrastructure, what that suggests is Nigerians will be involved in it. It means every department certainly will grow Nigerians to their height. Unfortunately, these are things we say every year. No government has taken up this agenda to be serious. No one has implemented this agenda to the letter that those that violate it pay for it.
Occupational safety is one big issue amongst working people, and I'm very much aware that in your sector it's one big issue when it comes to hazards and all. Would you say that employers in your sector are actually complying with occupational safety and standards in the country?
To a reasonable extent, I want to believe that majority of employers in the construction sector actually adhere to the rules and regulations with regards to safety governing the workplace. And one of the beauty of it is life first before employment. And that is to say life first after employment. So the ability of every worker is in their complete body. The ability of every worker is in their healthy nature. So anything that comes short of that will affect the company production. It will serve as a threat to the company getting more jobs. Because when you have hazardous report or casualties that has taken place in your place of work that led to loss of lives due to your inability to have prevented it, you work against the company more. So the company are more serious in safety than the workers, because anything that happens to a worker, they are responsible. From the beginning of employment process to the retirement of a worker in this sector, suggests that employer is to provide everything required, including the training for safety. And they are to monitor the enforcement of these safety rules. They further monitor the implementation by individual workers in such a way that when you fail in it, you are queried and most times you are dismissed. To some companies that I know, violation of safety is a serious offense, such that the client may get to know about it because they have their client supervisor supervising the supervisors of the contractor. And this has made safety very serious, and every worker is sensitive to it. And for me, it's working, and the rate of injury and co has reduced drastically.
Minimum wage is still a big issue. You're from the private sector. What would be the private sector expectation in terms of the minimum wage implementation?
Minimum wage, first and foremost, I think on behalf of NSC, our position now is to commend those states that have actually proven that implementation of minimum wage is sacrosanct and there is no going back. The earlier the better. Some of these governors saw the need to begin the implementation in NS. Some also have promised to pay more than the minimum wage. We are also waiting to see them bring it to light. For those that have not considered minimum wage a priority, but rather give excuse why it should not be paid, NSC is also not in a hurry, but will be willing to confront states that want to set a poor standard that would discourage those that indeed want to follow and obey the law. Minimum wage is not at the discretion of any governor to accept. Minimum wage is a law that must be enforced.
Report has it that there's an annual decline in skilled construction workers in the country. Is there any particular reason to this? Whereas many people believe that we don't have enough artisans to do the job, from findings, we have those same artisans go to other West African countries to actually seek employment and they get it. So can you give us a narration on the reason why we have this development?
That development for us is yet to be established. We want to believe we have enough artisans. In fact, we have more artisans than the job available. The challenge I think we may have is expat challenge, where the expatriate comes into Nigeria with their knowledge and they still go back with the same knowledge without imparting same knowledge on Nigerians. But in terms of artisans, artisans are available almost in every street. In construction sector, there are artisans that are looking for job. Don't forget, about 2-3 years ago, we suffered massive loss of job in the sector. We're not talking about 50,000. Neither are we talking about 100,000. At least I know of a company that placed on redundant more than 8,000. We're just one of the employers. So they did so because the Lord allowed them. But the question is, these people are also in the labor market. They are seeking for where to get job. So in terms of artisans, which we consider as probably semi-skilled workers or the skilled workers in the primary beginning of the category, these people are available for job. If you must place an advert now, and then you see the number of applicants you will get for one job, that will tell you the problem of unemployment in Nigeria. Artisans are available, they are part of the unemployment challenge, but I think we have the challenge of expertise, and that is why the country is not moving forward.
The construction sector is said to be seen as a sector that can take over the oil and gas sector after agricultural sector and the likes. If the construction sector has this potential, how ready are your members to ensure that they contribute their own quota towards ensuring that the construction sector or infrastructure is moved to the next level in the country?
Yes, I want to believe that in construction sector, not just in Nigeria, all over the world, have given light to development. Construction sector is is a sector that is the machinery for development. Talking about the workers in the construction sector, we're talking about the competence in them. No worker can sustain his employment if he or she is not competent. In the construction sector, they have what it takes to deliver all forms of structural projects. The opportunities, we say, should come after readiness. The construction sector workers are ready, and I believe they have utilized every opportunity that comes their way. As a sector, we have been advocating for technology-driven sector because the world today has changed. So the invitation of certain equipment that will enable training of these personnel in knowing more about the machines vis-a-vis the job they are doing is also very important, because a construction worker in Nigeria, it doesn't matter the machine you operate here, you should be able to do the same when you're in America. So environment shouldn't be a determinant factor for performance. A site is a site, and rules of engagement should be the same. So I think members are open to training, and we believe employers should also engage more training for their members beyond that which they do every day. They should be told, you know, the only way you can achieve a collective project is when people have little ideas of everything, yet they still mind their job. Construction sector is such a sector that you have almost every worker helping each other to achieving their goal. By that time, when the product is finally made available, it becomes their product, not my product. I think they are ready.
Casualization, outsourcing, insourcing of workers seems to be the order of the day. It's not the first time we'll be discussing about this. Is there any updated way of handling this issue? Is there any means of engagement that the union is actually devising to ensure that this is reduced to the barest minimum?
Yes, outsourcing and casualization is something that we have been battling for over a decade now, especially. And despite the successes recorded, it's still coming like a yearly based thing. And for us, it's not encouraging. The question and the challenge is, yes, the union is fighting, but the government seems to do less. The fight against casualization is supposed to be the sole responsibility of government in ensuring that no Nigeria is employed to be tortured. No Nigeria is employed to be denied his right. So, but because of the loopholes you have in our laws and the incapacitated we have suffered the ministries that can no longer enforce monitoring on projects to ensure what kind of employment they practice. You see an employer that have 3,000 workers, and you ask them, how many staff do you have? They will tell you they have 1,007 staff. What happened to the 1,300? They say they are casuals. And how do you define casual? Is the job meant to be a temporary job that you wanted people to just help you do something for 3 weeks, and we can say that does not call for employment perfection? But in this case, you have casuals that have worked for 5, 10 years, and you call that person a casual, including employing graduates, and place them on that casual. This battle, we have been fighting it exclusively. And it is time government is involved. Because if the laws are not strong enough to battle casualization, we recommend that they should repeal the law. Because it's not about we. Fight against casualization is not about me. It's not about the sector. It's about Nigerians. Because the sector we are in this country and where people are casualized, it means that the safety we are talking about does not cover them. Casual workers are never cared for when you talk about safety. Casual workers are never cared for when you talk about maternity leave. Nobody sustained the employment of a lady who was suddenly giving birth as a married woman. Your employment seems to erode with that opportunity. That is also evil.
Finally, my concern again is, can you share with us how casualization, outsourcing, insourcing, outsourcing, whatever they call it, how can you compare, how can you explain to us, or can you share with us how this has actually affected your membership in terms of unionization? Has it affected the number of members you should actually have?
Yes, outsourcing and casualization has affected our numerical strength. It does affect it because employers who actually believe in shortcuts indulge in these practices, and if not found on time, have lasted for a period that eventually reduce our membership. Chances of unionization is eliminated by the use of casuals, whereby you see a company paying even almost the same salary to casuals, but just to deny them the voice of saying or observing what is wrong. So where you have these practices where employers destabilize workers with wage, you give SX to a worker and you give SY to the other one, making them not to be on the same range of thinking. It's a weapon against justice. And those are the things we're fighting. The management of these employers, they indulge in the practice of using this worker against the other worker, or not only to the worker. So when you seek to unionize them, their voices are majorly not the same. So what we do is to practically enforce unionization because it's a right. So including picketing you if you refuse. So we go all the way in ensuring that protest is part of instrument to unionize. Peaceful protest for that matter. And then every other legitimate step that will make employers realize to do what is right. As trade union, we've done a series of it and we are resolved in doing more. Should any employer resist unionization? But as a challenge, outsourcing is a challenge to unionization, casualization is a challenge to unionization. As how we are combating it, we are resolute in ensuring that no stone is left unturned. And I believe victory indeed will come.
It was an interesting conversation I had with you.
Thank you, Sharon. You're welcome.
And that's all we can take on today's edition. Join us next week for a fresh edition of the show. I am Sharon Ijason. Thanks for watching, and remember, labor creates wealth.